First and foremost, all praises are due to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Salutations to the brothers around the four corners of the earth who are teaching this word in truth and sincerity. And shalom to the hopeful elect of Israel who listen and believe in this word. This is Brother Karate Saabad coming at you with another lesson. This one is entitled, He Sheweth His Word unto Jacob. And when we say Jacob, we mean the 12 sons of Jacob, who later became the 12 tribes of Jacob. If you aren't aware in the scriptures, Jacob, before he was called Israel, he was, of course, Jacob, and then he later became Israel. His name was changed to Israel, which equates to the 12 tribes of Israel that you see on the screen here. So we're going to start off with Psalms 147 and verse 19. Let's get that. Psalms 147 and verse 19. He sheweth his word unto Jacob, which is Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, okay? His statutes and his judgments unto Israel. All right? So when it says his word unto Jacob, it means these words in this Bible, this truth, these scriptures, these prophecies, the laws, statutes, the commandments unto Israel, okay? So Israel is the only one being judged according to these laws, statutes, and commandments. It's not meant for the other nations. Psalms 147 and verse 20. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So only the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, can be judged based on these laws, statutes, and these commandments. For instance, these nations right here are not, this book was not given to these nations, for example. Okay? This book was not given to these nations. You have the table of nations here. All right? These are the Gentiles. You have Israel on top, of course. Yasharallah, the 12 tribes. And then I'm just scrolling down lightly here. This book wasn't given to these other nations that I'm scrolling down here. You see here? This book, these laws, statutes, and commandments were only given to Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, who were the 12 sons of Jacob. All right? So this book is not for everybody. It's just for the Hebrew Israelites. All right, let's go back to the BLB. Let's read that again, Psalms 147 and 20. Actually, let's go to Psalms 147 and 19. He sheweth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. Verse 20, he hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So these laws, statutes, commandments, these words in this book are only for the Israelites. They're not for the other nations. Now, there are Israelites scattered in those countries, because as Abraham was told, your seed would be scattered, like the sand of the sea. So there are Israelites in those countries. There are Israelites in Russia. There's Israelites in Iran. There's Israelites in China, so on and so forth. All right. So it's not saying that there aren't Hebrew Israelites scattered in those countries. So, but the word was only given to the Hebrew Israelites, even those that are scattered in those countries. Let's get a precept. Let's go to Psalms 78 and 5 to back up what we're saying. Psalm 78 in verse 5. It reads as thus: For he established a testimony in Jacob, you see, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children. You see? So the testimony was established in Jacob. These words, these scriptures were established in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel. So the law, statutes, and the commandments are meant for the children of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Let's get another precept. Let's go to Psalms 103. This ain't going to be that long of a lesson. Psalms 103 in verse 7. Psalms 103 and verse 7. It reads as thus: He made known his ways unto Moses, and as we know, Moses, he was a Hebrew Israelite, his acts unto the children of Israel. You see, so he made known his ways. That's talking about Yahweh, the Most High, unto Moses, his acts unto the children of Israel. Okay? Let's get one more precept, Deuteronomy chapter 4. So if anybody else says from another nation that this Bible is for them, then they're going off. These words, these scriptures, this truth, this knowledge, these prophecies are for the children of Israel, the Hebrew Israelites. Deuteronomy 4 and Deuteronomy 4, excuse me, swig of water. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God, my Lord, I should say, commanded me. This is Moses talking, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. And of course, we did possess the land after Moses died. Joshua led the Hebrew Israelites into their land. It was formerly known as the land of Canaan. And then you had other groups of people, Amorites, Jebusites, that had inhabited that land. But Yahweh gave it back to us when Joshua came in with the Hebrew Israelites after Moses died. And the 12 tribes were established there in Israel. Now, of course, through various captivities, we've been spread out all over the world. Okay, so we're no longer in that land, but we will have that land again when Yahweh comes with the chariots on the day of the Lord to strike Babylon, to burn Babylon, put it in the lake of fire with the nuclear bombs that are going to be coming from Russia and the other nations. So it will be established again when Yahweh comes on the day of the Lord. He's going to extract his elect. He's going to come down and bring the heaven on earth, and he's going to start his rulership with the elect, okay? The 1/3 and 144,000, okay, the tabernacle of David. So that is going to be established once again, but we were scattered through various captivities. You know, you had the Assyrian captivity in 722. All right, actually that was in about 700. Am I correct? About 722 BC. Yeah, I was right. The Assyrian captivity in 722 BC, and then the Babylonians took over the captivity. They took over the Assyrians, and the Assyrians had the 9 tribes in captivity. The Babylonians came and took that over, but in the process, you had those 9 tribes that left out of that area and got on ships and went around the Horn of Africa into North America and South America. And they're known as the Native Americans, so-called Native Americans and Latinos. All right, so they were there many thousands of years before the other 3 tribes got there, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. All right, they later came there to those areas in 1500 AD. Maybe not even 1500 AD, sometime in the late 1500s to the early 1600s in the transatlantic slave trade. They came there later. So you ended up with all of us being scattered about, okay? In North America, South America, also other parts of the world as well. You know, as far east as China, parts of Europe, the Caribbean, and as well as other countries around the world. So we've been scattered everywhere. But Yahweh Shai is going to come back. He redeemed us. When he died, he sacrificed himself for us. So that set in motion everything that's to come. So once Yahweh Shai comes back, he's going to reestablish his kingdom. All right. And he's going to reign with the 1/3 of the Hebrew Israelites who make it on this side, okay, into those chariots. So he's going to reign for 1,000 years with the 1/3 elect, the remnant, and the other 2/3 that didn't make it on this side. They're going to be born back in the kingdom as babies. So the whole of Israel will be united. All right, let's read this again. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord, my God, my Lord, commanded me. Okay, that you should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. You see? So this is Moses talking to us, letting us know what's going on about the statutes and the commandments which were meant only for the nation of Israel, which encompasses the 12 tribes. Deuteronomy 4, and let's read verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. And we did do that for a while, but then we started going off. We started violating the laws, statutes, and the commandments. All right? We started worshiping other gods, fornicating against Yahweh. So the curses in Deuteronomy 28, they speak of that. The curses in Deuteronomy 28 start from verse 15 on down to 68. So those were the curses that were put upon us because we kept violating the laws, statutes, and the commandments, worshiping other gods from the pagan nations, doing traditions of the other nations, violating the laws. So he gave us the laws, statutes, and the commandments so that people would say, wow, this is a great nation. This is a different nation. They are very peculiar. Peculiar means different. So he called us a peculiar people. So he gave us certain laws, statutes, and commandments to set us apart from the other nations. Okay? But of course, we violated that. And the other nations, they hated us anyway, particularly Edom, the Edomites, so-called Esau, so-called white man. He really hates us the most. That's your mortal enemy, all right? And the other nations, they also hate you too. And they've also done things as far as various captivities and things of that nature to you as well. So he gave us these laws, statutes, and commandments to set us apart from everybody else. But of course, we violated, and that's why the curses were put upon us. And one of the most treacherous curses was the transatlantic slave trade, where Judah, Benjamin, and Levi were transported from West Africa, into parts of Europe, North America, South America, as well as the Caribbean. So we got the worst of it. Those of us that are part of those tribes, the so-called blacks, we got the worst of it. But all of us have been put under curses in some way or another. The Native American Indians, they were wiped out, killed, slaughtered, put in boarding schools. Many of those children in the boarding schools in the late 1800s to early 1900s were slaughtered and killed and buried. They're just uncovering some of those burial grounds of those kids, the Native Americans that got killed. And you can research that. So Esau is a fucking devil. He's an evil motherfucker. And his time is coming to an end. That's why he's scrambling about, That's why I said the devil shall roareth about as a lion, Because he's desperate. So he's going to be trying to bring about Jacob's trouble, which really Yahweh controls that. He's going to use Esau as his sword to come against the Hebrew Israelites, particularly the 2/3 of us that haven't hearkened to this word, that won't praise the name of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, that won't stop sinning and doing wickedly. So he's going to wipe out 2/3 of us along with the Edomites, so-called white man, the devil, as well as the other nations, that are here in Babylon, America. On the day of the Lord, it's going to be a lake of fire due to the nuclear bombs coming from Russia and the other nations, as well as laser fire coming from the chariots of Yahweh Shai and his angels. So if you have a chance, if this word resonates with you, and you're into these scriptures, the name of Yahweh, the Most High, and his son, Yahweh Shai, and these things resonate with you, and you're listening and hearkening to this word, then most likely you are part of the elect. You are part of the elect. But we say hope for elect because we say it in humility because we hope that we're part of the elect. Because if you're not on the day of the Lord, it's not going to be nice. And there's many scriptures to attest to that. All right. Let's read this again. Deuteronomy 4 and verse 6. Keep therefore and do them. He's speaking of the laws, statutes, and the commandments. This is Moses speaking. For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. And that comes back to my point. He sheweth his word unto Jacob. These laws, statutes, and commandments are for you, for Jacob. They're not for, the 12 tribes of Israel. They're not for anybody else. Let's continue on. Now, some of us have come back into the fold. Our spirits have been reborn again. We've been brought back from the dead, and we've been made to understand these scriptures and these words. Deuteronomy 4 in verse Let's go to verse 8, and we'll be finishing up here with this verse. In what nation is there so great, that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? You see? You see? So what other nation has been given these laws, statutes, and these commandments? All right? Okay? Which Moses and the Most High, okay, have set before us, had set before us, that day. So that was Moses telling, this is Yahweh speaking, though. What nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? No other nation has been given these laws, statutes, and commandments by which to follow, because you are the apple of his eye, Yahweh's eye. So he gave no other nation these laws, statutes, and these commandments. The other nations they do wickedly, but we started following after the other nations. Men started messing with men, women started messing with women. The men started cutting their beards off, things of that nature. We didn't do our Sabbaths, correctly. So there were things that we were doing that were not conducive to the laws, statutes, and the commandments. He gave them to us for a reason. Now, when Yahweh Shai comes back, the laws, statutes, and commandments are going to be put in our inward parts. That's in Jeremiah, I believe it's 31:31, where the law is going to be in our inward parts. We're going to be made righteous. We're going to get new bodies. We're going to be changed in the twinkling of an eye. Those that make it on this side first, the 1/3, and then, like I said, the 2/3 that don't make it to be born through the loins of the 1/3 in the kingdom during the 1,000-year reign with Yahweh Shai. So eventually, all the laws, statutes, and commandments are going to be in all our inward parts. Israel is going to be united, and we're not going to have to remember to be righteous. It's going to be natural like he intended, Yahweh. But this was already pre-written. Yahweh knew we were going to go off because he knows everything. So he knew we were going to go off. He knew we was going to have to send Yahweh, okay, the firstborn of all the spirits. He was going to have to send Yahweh Shai, the firstborn of all the spirits, to redeem us as the lamb with his death. So he knew all this. It was all written. Okay, so on that note, I hope this lesson was edifying to you. And I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash, Shalom.